Don't do it, Anakin. I've got the high ground. High ground my butt! You bragged about the story of how you were hanging 20 feet below Darth Maul with no weapon and still pulled some crazy 360 backflip shiz and diced that Sith Lord up? Yes, well, that's just cause it's me. Like this! Woo! Wow! Ow! Okay, so I was rewatching Star Wars Episode 1 the other day, and I don't understand how every Star Wars fan doesn't see this big inconsistency in George Lucas's prequels. First off, does the high ground even matter? Apparently, at least Obi-Wan thinks so now, didn't seem to stop him in the past, but I feel like Obi-Wan is probably more smart now in Episode 3 and knows that it should have mattered. So that begs the question, why does this ultra-powerful, super-fast, deadly Sith Lord just stands there dumbly with no force sense or reaction to Obi-Wan jumping over him? I mean, he should just be cutting him down to size. Doesn't make any sense. He has time to watch him, clearly. He even turns around, but no reaction with the lightsaber from one of the most powerful Sith Lords ever? Why'd they do my boy Darth Maul so dirty? It just seems like George Lucas edited this fast with some quick cuts to try to hide the fact that Obi-Wan would be super vulnerable in this move, and just should have been slain on the spot. The only answer is old Georgie made a mistake. A film error. Critical plot hole. But, drumroll please, I'm a visual effects artist, and when they say it can be fixed in post, they're talking to people like me. In this case, I'm gonna whip out my camera, like Darth Maul should have clearly done with his lightsaber in this scenario, and use some of my visual effects magic to repair and remaster this scene the way it should have went down. And I have an idea brewing. For starts, we need to make Darth Maul actually swing his lightsaber at this Obi-Wan sucker with the low ground disadvantage. And for this shot, I decided we have to go full-on CGI. Before that, I would need a clean plate for the background footage. So scrubbing through the sequence, I saved out a variety of screenshots of different views of the environment, and then had to remove the characters and certain items from these stills. Generally, I just use the clone tool and work away at removing unwanted parts of the image. But this is one of those scenarios where actually using Google and Adobe's Smart Object Remover tool thingy can save a lot of time too. Basically doing the same thing I would do with the clone tool, just kind of automatically. Next, I brought these clean plates into Blender and projected them on a plane. Using these images as reference, I did some basic 3D modeling in Blender of these environments, and then projected the image back onto that 3D environment. Now I can move the camera a bit in the scene and get some more 3D dimension. Now I obviously need Darth Maul in the scene. I'm starting with a 3D model that I found off the internet and converted it into rendering with cycles inside of Blender. To have this model be able to work with the motion capture rig, I needed to change his position into a T-pose. This kind of tricky, but it really is the easiest way to apply rigs and motion capture data then as well, is starting with a T-pose on your character. I went ahead and applied the basic motion capture rig to him as well. You know, if any of you guys want these finished assets to play around with and make your own scenes with, I'll put them up over on Patreon where you guys can download them and support the channel. And now it was high time to suit up, baby. Been using the Rikoku motion capture suit for a while now. It's epic, a total time saver, and gives top-notch results for realistic, real-world motion. I love it. So when Koku reached out and wanted to sponsor a video, you bet your butt I was down. It just gives you so many possibilities. That's impossible! Like once you're set up and going, it's so easy to do multiple takes, try a variety of different moves, and then I have all those options ready to play around with in post. For this shot, I knew it would be a wide angle, so I didn't use these smart gloves, but these are real time savers. Animating individual fingers on a hand, that takes patience. But with these, you can capture it instantly with all your other motion. So once geared up and being tracked from head to toe, it was time to turn on my inner Sith lordliness. Capturing data like a 180 overhead swing with the lightsaber instead of just sitting there stupid like a dummy-dumb. What? So I captured this maneuver a few times, as well as going on to capture a few other things that may or may not have been entirely necessary. Take it back. That was definitely necessary. Now, with a handful of these takes captured, Rukoku Studio gives you some simple but powerful controls on stabilizing the feet. Generally, the outputted data is automatically pretty great, but if you had a toe slide or a jump that didn't land perfectly in the capture process, it's easy to fine-tune it now. There's so much you can do with Rukoku with their advanced gear and intelligent software combined that you definitely should check it all out with the first link in the video description. Now, on to mapping this data onto Maul. Using Rukoku's add-on for Blender, you can just copy data basically instantly from two similar rigs to each other. It's just a few clicks and voila, our rigged Darth Maul now has motion, baby. So I stuck a lightsaber to his hand with a constraint to track it to his hand bone, and boom, he's armed and ready to fight. Next up, it would kind of make the next films broken if Obi-Wan gets delimbed here. So hear me out. Let's not have Darth Maul kick Obi-Wan's lightsaber down the shaft after. There's no reason why this necessarily has to happen. Let's assume it just falls to the ground when he gets kicked instead of rolls to the edge, because that leaves us with a few options now, like dual lightsabers. So here's what we can have Obi-Wan do to avoid becoming delimbed and defend against Darth Maul's attack while he's doing this dope 360 backflip. Using Qui-Gon's lightsaber, as he already force pulls it, Obi-Wan will use this to defend against Darth Maul's obvious oncoming attack. So then he'll land still locked with his lightsaber against Maul's in a defense position. Then the instant he lands, Obi-Wan uses his left hand to force grab his own lightsaber. And when Darth Maul is temporarily engaged with Obi-Wan in his right hand, Obi-Wan takes an unexpected swing with his left hand where there's now a lightsaber, and bum ba bum, Diced Maul is on the menu, and Obi-Wan just gains so much more aura. Now that's the plan, and here's how I'm gonna do it. I needed a 3D model of Obi-Wan for this fully CGI shot, and I couldn't find anything, especially Obi-Wan from episode 1. The best I could find is this PS2 looking model of Obi-Wan from episode 2, which was gonna have to work. As long as we don't show him too close up, I don't think the PlayStation 2 graphics will be too visible. I applied a rig to him as well, and now I needed a flipping motion. Now pulling a 180 flip with the Rukoku motion capture suit on might not really be something that's in my bag, but this is where Rukoku has a motion library of all kinds of assets that you can download, and here I found some motion capture data of a 180 front flip that someone else captured and I was able to use. Mapping this to my PS2 Obi-Wan character, now this move was gonna have to transition from his initial pose of like this to going into the flip. So this took a bit of manual keyframing to start him in the right position and then have him transition into the motion capture move, as well as using some manual keyframing to give him some more height and movement out of this flip. But in the end, you can see this is looking pretty cool. And stick a lightsaber in his hand and we actually have a fight going on. The raw data wasn't looking too bad out of this fully CGI shot, but it was time for some special sauce to take this realism up a few notches. Starting with some cloth simulations to make these characters feel less stagnant, I isolated different areas on Darth Maul for his sleeves and pants, added some cloth simulation in Blender, and tracked that to my rig. This just gives a lot more motion to the quick movements of Maul, and with a little bit of motion blur, was going to hopefully add to the realism of the shot. Same with Obi-Wan. Anything I could do to make these PS2 graphics look a little bit better with some cloth simulations, I was going to try. Then with some camera motion, some lens flares and glows for the lightsaber clashes in midair here, and some color grading and film grain applied to it, this shot was starting to look finished. Next, I wanted a quick shot of Obi-Wan engaged in the lightsaber hold with Darth Maul. Thankfully, scrubbing through the scene, I found a similar shot that could actually work with this with just a little bit of cropping and background replacement. So I just had to mask the characters out, put the proper background behind him here, and change the colors a bit. Next was going to be the shot for the lightsaber grab. For this, I set up a small green screen in my studio, grabbed my camera and some lights, positioning the light to the back as what would be the lightsaber glow. Then I grabbed a flashlight for the prop of the lightsaber and threw on a hoodie to kind of match the color of Obi-Wan's sleeve. Then I just filmed a few takes of me dropping the flashlight and whipping my hand back. Then when I play this in reverse, you can see it looks like I whip my hand out and the flashlight comes to my hand, which will be the lightsaber. Then it was back to Blender using a CGI lightsaber. I rendered this lightsaber out with some keyframes, pulling it to his hand, removed the green screen, then also realized you'd see Darth Maul in the shot, so I added him as well, kind of out of focus, layering these shots together, doing a lot of masking on my hand for the lightsaber, and rendering some sweet glows. We had our lightsaber catch. With this lightsaber object, I also created a few fully CGI scenes of it falling onto the ground like we needed, and then force pulling off the ground. For this, I started with a basic cylinder and some rigid body physics effects in Blender, then tracked the lightsaber model to that cylinder for some realistic looking motion as it falls to the ground. The next shot where Darth Maul gets diced up, I realized I could get by using the same shot that was in the film, just adjusting some colors in Premiere to make that lightsaber go from green to blue. Adding the two lightsabers in a clash to the side of the scene here, covering up Obi-Wan's right arm so it kind of looks like he's only swinging with his left arm. Next, I had to mask out Obi-Wan's lightsaber falling off the edge, because if that happens, then the whole shot here won't really work. And for the aftermath, of course, Obi-Wan needs two lightsabers in his hands. This was done easily enough by copying Qui-Gon's lightsaber, flipping it in Premiere, changing the color and hues to be blue, and putting it in his left hand. Also, while I'm cleaning up these shots, a little continuity error, George Lucas. Maul's lightsaber switches from his right hand here to his left hand. No biggie, I'll also fix that for you, George, while I'm here. Now, with all these shots pieced together with some sound effects and some music to extend the scene a little bit, this is now Star Wars Episode 1, just more logical. And that's how we created a completely CGI lightsaber shot, used some visual effects combined with CGI elements for some of these other shots, and pieced together the final Darth Maul vs. Obi-Wan fight to make just a little bit more sense. Now I can believe that the high ground does give an advantage, but if you have access to a second lightsaber, it's still possible to defeat a Sith Lord with a low ground disadvantage. This video project was a ton of fun, ended up taking me a lot more time than I thought it would. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, or even better, a comment down in the comment section to help bless the YouTube algorithms, hopefully. That'll do it for me. I'm working on some more projects already, so I'll see you in those videos soon. Stay strong, and may the Force be with you. Peace out!